Hi, I'm Nick Fundytus, and this week on Reddit, I'm answering the question about renting or buying. So I will be moving to Ottawa next summer from Victoria. My wife and I are debating whether to buy a place or rent. Our budget is around 500,000 for a 2 to 3 bedroom townhouse. So what would you guys do? How's the housing market in Ottawa in terms of building equity? So this one was an interesting one to answer, not just because someone asked, how's the housing market? And that is, really, that's a question that every single person that we know asks us all the time. So I think probably 4 or 5 people asked me that today. But how is it in terms of building equity? So basically, if you are going to build equity, is your house going to keep pace or do better than inflation? So basically, meaning that you're paying off your house while you live in it, and is the overall value of it when you sell it, so say in 5 years or 10 years or 2 years, is it going to be worth more than if you had just put that money in the bank and it happened to increase at the same rate as of inflation? So first of all, so here's the answer. As a few people in the same thread mentioned, choices may be fairly tight for townhomes these days, under 5,000 or 500,000 in Ottawa. But if you, the question asker, start your search early and are open to condo townhomes or an older townhome, especially in the suburbs, there are still properties that are within that range. Connect with a realtor or some professional here to start your search, or you can start a search on Realtor.ca. HouseSigma will give you access to some of the sold prices, at least to give you an idea of what's going on, just to keep an idea of things before you arrive. This is somebody, remember, who wants to buy next year, so 2024. For example, when my wife and I bought our first place, we actually did it before we moved back to Canada. We were living in Macau at the time, and we bought it from overseas. We had been in the country for a bit, but we actually bought it after we left and found a tenant for a few months until we were ready to move back. So we rented it out for a little while. In terms of building equity, now Ottawa has traditionally been a slow and steady increase kind of city. Now, that is bad in terms of outpacing inflation. However, we do tend to outpace inflation a little bit, but we don't have big swings, either positive or negative, generally, that you would see in Toronto or even Montreal or Vancouver. So our prices might not get to the same heights, but they also don't get to the same lows within the same year. So it's fairly dependable in the long term. COVID knocked this out of whack the last few years with big year-on-year increases. But if you look at the decrease that we've had in 2023 versus 2022, we're back closer to the long-term kind of 50-year trend, which is just like slow and steady, maybe a percent or two above the rate of inflation. A good tool for anybody interested in this is the home price index, which I have linked here. This is a very blunt instrument in that it measures large trends. It is not something that's going to predict exactly what your home will do. Anybody who's tried to price out their home for the market based on the HPI knows this, but it is very useful when considering the city as a whole. And then if you combine this with some sort of local knowledge, so your realtor or market stats, wherever you can find good local detailed knowledge, that would help a buyer make a good decision onto whether they're getting good value for their home, whether it's likely to appreciate, or whether their equation, it makes more sense to rent for some people. So to the person asking this, who is, let's look again, altruistic parsley 71, good luck on your move. And yeah, the reason I know these things is I'm a realtor in Ottawa. I have a small team here, and this is it's a kind of question that we get asked a lot. So I hope that that answer is useful for you. And if you have specific questions, just send them my way. We're happy to help. Take care.